Before launching, like Sleek and basically jumping into that unknown, Julian and myself, so my co-founder, actually interviewed around 150 people. So all entrepreneurs in Singapore that had gone through the experience of registering a business and then managing the accounting in Singapore.
Welcome back to our SaaS Startup Essentials. In our previous video, we touched upon the key challenges in scaling SaaS businesses, and today I wanted to share some tactics and frameworks around that 0 to 1 stage, and especially how to build a sales and marketing engine. And since no one shares better insights than founders themselves, I have the pleasure of having Adrien with me today, co-founder and CMO of Sleek. Welcome, Adrien.
Hi, Alice. Thanks for having me.
Pleasure. So Sleek is a back-end operating system for startups and SMEs. It's a very simple, a single platform where you can manage all your back office operations. You can seek expert advisory from qualified professionals. The platform streamlines, automates, and integrates company setup, financial, regulatory reporting, bookkeeping, and now also banking services. You started the business in late 2017. You now serve more than 5,000 businesses across 4 countries, and you have a great team of about 200 people. So I think you've nicely executed that 0 to 1 journey and hopefully have a lot of things to share with us. The theory about growing revenue is fairly simple. You add new MRR, monthly recurring revenue, or you expand existing MRR, and then you limit churn. So let's look at these 3 levers from a sales and marketing standpoint, and especially again for that 0 to 1 journey. So how do you get these first 100 customers when you started?
Very good question. And actually, yes, it's to go from 0 to 1 and to get like the first market, approval. So, just a bit of background. So I'm not someone from the accounting / legal industry. I was just a frustrated client with these guys, and before launching Sleek and basically jumping into that unknown, Julian and myself, so my co-founder, actually interviewed around 150 people. So all entrepreneurs in Singapore that had gone through the experience of registering a business and then managing the accounting in Singapore. So all these 150 discussions that we had were like super helpful to help us to shape our service offering and the product. So naturally, the first thing I did, when we launched, was to basically call them back again for another coffee or drink, and then to just pitch them the product and the service that we actually had built. So I did that out of the 150 now, close to 80% are actually clients of Sleek, and a vast majority of them actually came in the very first 2 months. So I like to say that actually the first 100 customers were actually people that we interacted with during our marketing survey. So that would be my go-to the lowest hanging fruit. Then second, we actually realized that we were in an industry where it's not like every day that you're going to register a business or need your corpsec. So it's all about really targeting the right person at the right time with the right message. And for that, actually, there is nothing better than outbound marketing at the very beginning, when you have no budget for online marketing and for anything else. So we did quite a lot of outreach on LinkedIn using various publicly available informations to reach out to potential clients. So that was another, I would say, the second lowest hanging fruit, slightly higher than marketing survey, but very accessible. It brought us, I would say, a good traction over the first 6 months of the Sleek adventure. And last but not least, once we actually got to a bit of budget, we started to do very little online marketing and paid, I'd say. So the paid actually came just after lots of content marketing done. So obviously content, that's it goes without saying that it needs to be done from day one. It actually position your brand as legitimate on the market, and then it also brings you a bit of organic. And once you activate the paid marketing, basically people that have never heard about your brand land on your site, and are able to see that you're quite a legit brand to trust. So these would be my three go-to, let's say, opportunities. So marketing survey, outbound, and then online marketing, so content and paid.
Cool. And we will come back to that, focusing on exactly that marketing and the key focus in the second part. But just to add on, what you're saying, I think Sleek is a great example of how you can leverage an existing relationship with a client and then keep on adding more services. From company formation, then you've added bookkeeping and now insurance and neobank. So how and when do you start focusing on the upsell or cross-sell so you can kickstart that flywheel?
Okay, second very good question. So I have actually quite a funny story with regard to that. So at the very beginning, Julien and myself actually just wanted to do company registration. We were big fans of Y Combinator, where you're being hammered. Okay, do one thing and do it greatly. So we're like, okay, fine. We are going to do company registration. So for a couple of months, we were just doing only that. And whenever leads or clients were asking us, hey, do you provide accounting services? We're like, no, sir, please go and see company A. They're very good for accounting. We focus on incorporation. And we realized that to actually, not providing accounting was first loss factor when it came to deal closing, and second, actually the accountant that we were sending our leads to, one day she basically came to our office asking us to stop recommending clients to her because she had too much business to actually handle. So at this point in time, I think we realized, okay, let's just stop being stupid and just also jump on that opportunity. We can definitely start a second service offering with accounting aside from the from our original idea of company secretary. So I'd say that it's all about first looking at what your clients are after. So in our case, they were looking at a holistic solution incorporating with company registration and accounting. So one go-to platform where they can just outsource everything that they actually needed to do to actually maintain their company compliance. And our conversion rate automatically went higher. So I think it's a true mix of identifying the key pain points either inside your funnel or in the day-to-day of your clients to then start thinking about that new service that you could launch. So I think that's the very, very beginning. So that's the spark of that should trigger that thinking process of launching eventually a new service. And then after, once you have this idea and once you have some kind of a service offering or product offering idea, then you can actually test and learn that idea. So testing with the existing population of clients that you have, so which is what we did with the accounting. We basically sent an email to the very few clients that we had back then asking, hey, we now offer accounting, who's interested? And everybody stood up and said, okay, we're in. So we obviously made a lot of mistakes at the very beginning. So obviously not being accountant, we made some basic errors at the very beginning, but it allowed us to actually really understand where the pain points were, to then actually provide an even more efficient services when actually building the real, so the beta, which of our service. So it's really all about testing and learning at that very, very basic first phase. No need to be fancy, no need to build a fancy product. It's just the good old test and learn. And then after, once you have identified all the mistakes possible, it's very important to launch it first internally with your existing pool of clients, and then after externally for a bit more traction.
And was limiting churn ever a consideration when you were looking at adding more products and offering, or was the key issue of limiting churn a complete separate bucket and with very specific actions?
No, I'd say that churn is really a very different one actually in our case. We were more looking at, okay, how can we increase our conversion rate? What are our leads after? So when you start a company, obviously you're looking at company registration, but very quickly, comes the accounting, the bookkeeping, the payroll sometimes, and so on. So it was more about seizing the opportunities that were in the minds of our clients at the very, very beginning, because by doing incorporation of companies who were in that massive, let's say spot. Being at the birth of the company, you're in a great position to actually, cross-sell and upsell other solutions. So it was more like that angle that we were after. Now, when we look at churn, actually, yes, clients do leave us sometimes for, reasons that we need to identify and we need to learn from them. So at the very, very, very beginning, I was personally calling back the clients and doing what we could call like an exit interview to really understand, what were the pain points the mistakes that we made, and how then we could actually, put together corrective measures internally to, avoid such mistakes to happen again. And the funny story is that, we made mistakes, people left us, but eventually a lot of people that left us actually in the first 1 to 2 years at Sleek actually eventually came back once our service was a bit more defined and we were making way less mistakes. So I'm really happy to say that yes, churning is natural, but making the difference from when churning is to learn from it and to not just say, okay, fine, they're leaving me just because they don't like what we're doing. What we're doing is great. No, you need to learn from these guys, and the feedback they give you, most of the case, is extremely valuable for your organization, your strategy, and your product roadmap.
So you mentioned outbound leads. What were some of the other key focus areas and maybe some of the key core metrics or KPIs that you were tracking and implementing again in the early days?
At the very, very beginning, we were really like a sales-oriented organization. So my role as CMO was definitely to feed the beast and just generate marketing qualified leads. Before getting to marketing qualified leads, you have leads, and before you have visitors. So, top of the funnel, it's all about awareness, really capturing the search intents when they're nascent. And then after, once the visitors land on your site, how to make the experience delightful, how to create an easy and quick access to the information that they're after, and obviously the key battle is really how to capture either their email address or their phone number, how to trigger a discussion between them, looking for information, looking for answers to their questions, and us, the provider of these answers, and eventually a service provider able to help them in the near future. I'd say that the key focus area, so the first one is leads. That's I live and breathe lead generation. But then after, I would say that it's all about really the lead processing. How do they go through the funnel? When are we losing them, or when are we converting them? And how can we actually go higher in terms of conversion? So these are the focus areas. Now if I look at the metrics, so there are 3 very simple metrics. So the first one is the number of MQLs that we generate on a daily, weekly, monthly basis. Second one would be the conversion rate from MQL to clients. So how efficient are we to actually close these leads into engaged clients? Last but not least, the mere battle of all, the cost of acquisition. Obviously, we have a budget to stick to. So my role is to generate the correct amount of MQLs, if not more, within the imparted budget, and also to ensure the overall marketing efficiency to feed the sales pipeline.
What was your marketing stack like? Some of the key tools you were using when you started, and then as you kind of evolved and added more, fine-tuned that stack?
So very good point. I think at the very, very beginning at Sleek, we made quite a few mistakes on starting with provider A, then 3 months after saying, okay, they're not for us and it's too expensive, let's go for provider B, and then eventually switching back to provider A, then going for a C. We made a lot of mistakes, back then on choosing the right stack. Right now, and for a couple of years, so we have been running on HubSpot for CRM, and then after we just use directly AdWords, and also we built some kind of a BI portal on Data Studio with plenty of reports that actually are pulled from our platform, HubSpot, AdWords, and GA, and also a few other small data providers that we're currently using. So we're very, very pragmatic, and we are very cost sensitive, obviously. So we tend to do basic things and to actually go to the very, very limit of these like solutions before actually switching to a higher plan.
Thanks, Adrien. We'll follow up again in a second part for this video. But thanks for sharing all of that around building that marketing and sales stack in the early days of a SaaS company. I hope you liked the video. Please share with us your questions, ideas, comments. Would love to hear your feedback. And thanks for watching.